Have you ever faced your worst nightmare, so close that you could almost touch it? Picture this, a chilling winter's night, snowflakes dancing in the wind as it howls through the barren trees. There, in the heart of the wilderness, I was, camping alone. The solitude was deafening, only punctuated by the occasional hoot of an owl or the rustle of leaves under the tiny feet of forest dwellers. As the night grew colder, the air filled with strange noises, distant yet distinct, noises that didn't belong to any animal I knew. I tried to shrug it off, telling myself it's just the wild playing tricks on my mind. But with every passing moment, the fear started to creep in, the icy grip of terror holding me captive. The whispers of the forest grew louder, the unknown lingering in the shadows. As the night grew darker, the noises grew louder, and my fear more palpable. Sometimes the most terrifying things are those we cannot see. In the heart of a winter's night, I found myself wrapped in an icy shroud of unease. It was as if the very air around me had been charged with a spectral presence. The silence was punctured only by the rustling of unseen creatures in the underbrush. Footsteps, with a crunch like the breaking of delicate icicles, echoed through the snow-laden forest. Yet when I spun around, there was nothing but the void of night and the whispering trees. The cold bit deeper into my bones, a chill that went beyond the physical. It was as if the temperature itself had been siphoned away by some otherworldly entity, leaving in its wake a biting frost that seeped into my very soul. An unexplainable feeling of dread began to swirl within me, like a harsh winter gale. The fear was not born of the darkness that enveloped me, nor of the bone-chilling cold. It was a terror that seemed to creep from the unseen, from the knowledge that I was not alone in this frozen wilderness. Each snap of a branch, each whisper of the wind carried a warning. I was being watched, hunted. My pulse quickened, my breaths became shallow, and the world seemed to narrow into a tunnel of fear. The unseen terror was closing in, and I was its target. The beast of legends, the Wendigo, was no longer a myth. In the heart of the wilderness, where the wind whispers the oldest secrets, I found myself standing face to face with the embodiment of primal fear. Its form was an abhorrent fusion of man and beast, a grotesque mockery of nature's design. Towering over me, the Wendigo was a gaunt figure, its skeletal frame barely covered in patches of mottled grey skin. Its eyes, twin orbs of icy malevolence, seemed to glow with an unholy light that chilled me to my core. Then came the roar. It was a sound that transcended the realm of the living, a guttural scream filled with an eternity of hunger and torment. It echoed through the forest, causing the trees to shudder, and made my blood run cold. The Wendigo lunged, its movements a blur of predatory efficiency. I dodged, feeling the rush of air as its clawed hand swiped at where I had been moments before. Racing through the underbrush, I was fueled by adrenaline and a primal instinct to survive. The Wendigo was relentless, its howls of frustration a terrifying accompaniment to the deadly chase. In a desperate bid for survival, I used my knowledge of the terrain. I led it towards a steep ravine, the ground treacherously slick with ice and snow. With a final, desperate sprint, I managed to sidestep at the last moment, sending the Wendigo crashing into the icy abyss. Its roar of rage and frustration echoed through the night, growing fainter as it fell. The encounter left me shaken, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. I was alive, but the beast I had just faced was anything but a figment of folklore. It was real, a living nightmare that hunted under the cover of darkness. I had faced the Wendigo, and I had survived. But the memory of its horrifying visage and the bone-chilling roar would forever haunt my dreams. The Wendigo was real, and I was its prey. Surviving a Wendigo attack is one thing, living with the memory is another. In the aftermath of that nightmare, I found myself changed in ways I hadn't anticipated. The cold, gnawing dread of the encounter didn't fade with the rising sun. It burrowed deep, settling in the pit of my stomach like a permanent winter. Every creak of a branch or rustle of leaves would send chills down my spine, turning the once familiar woods into a labyrinth of fear. The encounter stripped away the veil of normality, revealing a world teetering on the edge of the supernatural. It wasn't just the tangible terror of the Wendigo itself, but the lingering suspicion that we may not be alone, that there are things lurking in the shadows of our understanding, waiting to pounce. I found myself grappling with my sanity, questioning the reality of what I had experienced. The Wendigo, a creature of folklore and legend, had become my personal nightmare, a horrifying reality that left indelible scars on my psyche. The aftermath of the attack was a battle of a different kind, a struggle to reclaim my life from the grip of fear. I sought help, found solace in sharing my story, in the knowledge that I wasn't alone. But the memories remain, as vivid and terrifying as the night it happened. The Wendigo may be a part of folklore, but for me it's a horrifying reality that haunts me to this day.